so next I'm going to sound deaden this whole area here. All this area. Alright, here's an update on some of the progress that I'm making with the sound deadening. I'll just show you how far I've got so far. Another quick update, I've made kind of like a wall on the back side of that big opening. I'll show you that piece right now. Right here there was a big hole, and I just made like a wall here to like a plate, and I covered that hole, and I'm gonna be working my way around to the rest of it. And that's just a little update there. Alright, here's another update. I started putting this Noiko sound dampening material next, and you just peel it and you just stick it. It comes in big sheets. If you saw my previous video on sound deadening the trunk, it's the same stuff. So I'm just going to continue peel and sticking all this on here, and just keep going. Alright, so I'm finished with the inside of the speaker box, and here's what it looks like now. I put some sound dampening material here to lessen the vibration when I put the plate on here with the speaker. And now I'm going to put the speaker on the plate. Just put this sealant pad, weather stripping over the hole to give it a tight seal. For the mounting bracket, I went ahead and bought these. These were at Lowe's. And I use these to make a install kit, a mounting kit for the radio, because the one that it came with didn't fit because the PO cut out the inside of the mounting of the car, so I had to build this. Now it fits perfect and it holds it and it's tight, so that's what I'm gonna go with. Now I'm gonna mount the 10-inch woofer using these little speaker connections, using these speaker holders. Mount the subwoofer into the car. It's gonna go right there, and as you can see, I made a hole for the speaker wire from the other side. It's just a little hole. I don't know if you can see that.
Not this camera.
Okay, I'm getting ready to mount the speaker, the subwoofer. Getting ready to mount the subwoofer into the car. It's gonna go right there, and as you can see, I made a hole for the speaker wire from the other side. It's just a little hole. I don't know if you can see that. Now I'm gonna mount this camera. Alright guys, on this video I'm going to show you how to connect the wiring harness to the radio and the amplifier. On this video I'm going to show you how I connect the wiring to the radio, and the radio I'm going with is the ILX-W650 Alpine. It's a double DIN 7-inch radio with Apple CarPlay, Sirius XM ready, Bluetooth ready, and Android and iPhone adaptable. And I'm going to be powering that radio with the KTA-450 Alpine amplifier. It fits right in back of the radio, and this is how it looks. So this is the radio, and this is the amplifier. The amplifier hooks on to the back of the radio, and then you just screw these screws in that are provided with the amp into here. You got to take out the screws from the radio, and then the amp provides longer screws to screw in here. And I bought a bracket, a kit for the car, installation kit for the radio, and it didn't work because the previous owner cut out the dash for the insert of the radio. That area, he cut it all up, so I couldn't use that kit, so I had to make my own kit. I had to go to Lowe's and I bought these wire things with screws, and then I made it to where it would screw into the car and sit just right. So now let's get on with the wiring. So this is the wiring harness that goes into the radio. This plugs into the back of the radio, and these wires here are speaker wires. The purple, the whites, the grays, and the greens. Purples, greens, whites, and the blue and the grays. The gray wires are for the front speakers. The white and black wires are for the front left speakers, and the grays are for the front right. The purple wires are for the rear right. The green is for the rear left speakers. This yellow goes to the battery, or in your dash if you have a constant hot wire connected to that. Now this is I'm just going over the wiring harness for the radio. This blue And white wire is for the amp. It tells your amp to turn on. So when you turn on the car, if your radio is off, your amp will not be on constantly. You have to turn the key to accessory, then turn on the radio, then it'll tell your amp to turn on. This all blue one, it's all dark blue, there's no stripe on it. This is for the power antenna. If you have a power antenna, when you turn on your car, the antenna goes up or down. And they're making cars now that don't have power antennas, but they do have a power signal that has to be an antenna that has to be powered with electricity so you can get a good signal to your radio. So if you have this option in your car, connect that. Now this white and orange, it's a long cable. This tells your reverse camera to turn on. When you put the car in reverse, this will send a signal to the camera to turn on. And this is the red wire. It's the accessory wire. This goes on to the accessory wire. Like when you turn your key to the on position, it'll send a signal or electricity to this wire so you can turn on your radio. That way your radio won't be on all the time even if you turn your car off. So that was the wiring harness for the radio. Now this is the wiring harness for the amplifier. So let's start off with the yellow wire first. So this yellow wire is going to be the constant battery on. This is going to be on constantly. This is so your radio will remember the station you were on, will keep the time going, and it's connected to a 15 amp fuse. Now this is important because the amp requires a 15 amp fuse also. So in my case, I was able to connect the two yellow wires together with this fuse to this fuse here. So I have the radio yellow connected together with the amp yellow, and they're going connected here before the fuse. That way if something happens and the fuse gets tripped, it'll turn off the power, the constant power to the radio and the amp. Okay, that's the yellow wire. Now the ground wire, I have the ground wire connected to the radio harness and the amplifier ground wire. So everything is going to be ground to the same ground. I'm also going to be installing a subwoofer with an amp, and that amp ground will be grounded to this also. So that's the yellow and the black. So now we're going to move on to this white and blue. The white and blue one is also connected together with the, I'm trying not to make this difficult. Don't worry about this wire right now, okay? This is the radio connection, and this is the white and blue wire for the amplifier. I have it connected to the amplifier, and this is the amplifier. And I have another out remote wire for the amplifier that I'm going to be connecting, will be for the sub amplifier. This will connect to the sub and tell the sub to turn on. So this is for the car radio. It's coming out, sending a signal, one to the radio amp and then one to the sub amp. So when you turn on the radio, it's going to tell that radio amp to turn on, and it's going to tell the sub amp to turn on. And I'm trying to go slow and be detailed for the guys that don't know how to wire radios. If you know how to do this, you could fast forward the video. So that's the yellow wire. So now these are the speaker wires that are going to go in to the from the radio. This is the harness for the radio. Now these RCs are the out. This is for the out. It's sending the signal for the right and left rear front speakers. It's sending the signal from the radio speaker wires, sending the signal into the amp. Okay, this is the amp. So now the amp is gonna increase that signal, and now these are going to be the new speaker wires that are going to go into the factory harness, and that's going to send the signal to your factory speakers. Only the front and rear speakers. This is not for the sub, and it's the same color scheme as the radio. So green, white, gray, and purple. See? Greens, your whites, your grays, and your purples. And all these colors are on the back of the radio, and it tells you exactly what these speaker wire colors are for. Now this is the wiring that comes out of the radio, and this is going to be for the sub out. This one is for your rear view camera, and this one is for the front view camera. And I'll be adding a front camera and a rear camera. The reason I'm going to be adding a front camera is because my car is so low that sometimes I hit curbs in the front when I'm parking in front of businesses. So this front camera is going to be great to tell me when to stop, to save the front bumper. All right, so that covers that, this, and this. Now I'm going to cover the bypass, the micro bypass, which is this little thing here. This is going to tell you, this is going to allow you to control your radio while you're driving. But you're not supposed to be looking at videos as you're driving down the street, which is obvious. So, but this is going to give you full control, so you can still access your navigation and everything else. Without this, it's not going to work. And this is also very simple. The ground wire goes to the ground. The white and blue goes to the white and blue for the amp. It's going to send signal to this bypass. And then the yellow and blue are for, that goes to the back of the radio. And the yellow and blue is for parking brake. So that's that. This one's for the foot pedal brake. I'm not going to be using that, so I won't be needing that. So I think I covered all the wires for that part. So now I'm going to get the wiring harness and start soldering these speaker connections. All right, got it all wired up, and going to put it into the car now and do a test just to see if everything is working before I continue with the front camera, backup camera, and subwoofer amplifier. And all the connections I made were soldered. I didn't film the soldering because that's, if you want to see a good soldering video, you could probably see a way better one than mine, because I don't have very good soldering equipment, but I made it work. And then I used the shrink tubing to, instead of using electrical tape, I use the shrink tubing to cover the bare wires. And that's that. So let's go and install the radio and test it. I'm in the car now, and I got the ground wire hooked up temporarily here. This is metal here to the back of this, so it's a good ground. And I got these are the car factory connections, and these are my connections here. And I'm going to connect it. I don't know if I can film this. I'm going to put I'll try to connect these with one hand. it's connected, and let's get the keys and see if this works. Okay, it's on accessory. Radio turned on. It's good. Okay, I'm gonna go to English. Good. It's on radio. I guess those are stations. Alright, I forgot to plug in the amplifier connection. I plugged in the radio connections, but I forgot to do the amplifier connection. So now let's try that again.
Just cast high at hand. Wind right here on God.
There. Okay. Everything sounds good. I don't hear no hissing sound. I saw in some reviews there was a hissing sound, like an air sound. And what I've always done was connect every ground wire, either it's coming out of the radio, the amp, the car, all the ground goes to one location. And that's how I have it. All the ground is hooked up to the wires, and then they're feeding into this one ground hair connection. So when I install the sub amp, it's gonna connect to this ground also. So that might help you out if you're having a problem with the a hissing, like an air. Some guys are saying they're hearing an air sound in their speakers. Alright, so I'm gonna button it up and continue with the amp installation. I didn't make a video installing the amp because I just was running out of time. It was taking so long, and I just wanted to get it done. The amp is very, very easy to install. All you have to put is the power wire, the ground, and the remote. And if you remember on my previous video is the blue wire that I said turns on the amp, goes here. Ground goes here. And then this is the battery wire. So you have to get a large battery wire connected straight from your battery to this amp. And then your speaker wires. It's very, very simple. And behind here is the gain, and then your sub controls. This one has a remote also that I put in my center, little like a cubby hole center right above the radio. Put it in there, and then these are your RC inputs. On this next video, I'm going to be installing the steering wheel wiring so I can use my steering wheel to increase or decrease the volume This part is just a 3.5 millimeter jack. It just plugs into the back of the radio, and I'm going to be using the black wire for ground, red wire for power, and then the white and green, and the gray and red. And I'm going to connect these, and I'll show you when I'm done. Alright guys, I'm in the car and I am installing the Axis ASWC-1 steering control, so your steering control things can work, like the volume up and down and the seek and the mode. So I had a hard time figuring this out, so I wanted to share this with everybody in case someone's having problems. If you didn't have any problems, you can just fast forward from this, but this is for the guys that are needing some help. From the car's wiring harness, this is the 8-pin that the instructions are telling you to get at. So this is the 8-pin, but there's only 3 wires coming out of it. And for the 2007 Nissan 350Z Nismo, I don't know if that makes a difference, but mine's a Nismo. I had to use the wires for this Axis. I'm using the red for black, the red for power, the black for ground, and then I'm using the gray and red wire from this Axis and the green and white wire from this Axis. The rest of the wires I have folded up and taped. You're not going to need these. Okay, I'll let you look at these so you'll know you're not going to need these. Alright. So, the gray and red wire go to the green and red wire. Can you see that? So it's gray and red to this one here, the green and red. Now the white and green go to the orange. See that? Goes to the orange. Now the black, the ground wire, they say connect it to this green and yellow wire. But when I connected that ground wire, it didn't turn on this steering wheel control. It didn't light up. So I connected another ground wire to my radio ground, and then I connected it up here, and then this thing turned on. So you probably don't need to connect this yellow and green wire to the Axis ground, but I'm just gonna leave it like that since it works. So once you get that connected, it's real easy to set it up. All you do is turn the key and to the accessory, and then this thing's gonna start blinking. Blink, 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 blink. And as soon as it starts blinking, even if your radio isn't turned on, just press and hold the volume up and just hold it down. Hold it down until that light here will turn solid green, and then it'll turn red, and then it'll turn green, and then it'll stay off. And then you'll notice your volume is going up. Once it's done and you see the volume going up, that's when you take your finger off the volume. So turn the key, this will start blinking, your radio will turn on. As soon as you see this blinking, hit the volume up button and hold it. Hold it all the way until your radio completely turns on, and then you see the volume going up. And then you can take your finger off the volume. That's what I did, and everything works. You want to see? Let's watch it. So I already did the programming, so all I'm going to do is just turn it on to accessory. And you can see the lights are not blinking because everything's already set up. Okay, the radio's on, so now I'm going to press the volume up button, and it goes. Volume down, goes down, and now I'm gonna hit this. This is to change the radio station, seek, and then go the other seek, and now mode is to change what the function on the radio is gonna do. So the FM1, FM2, FM3, AM, and then you press it again and it goes to your Bluetooth audio. Press it again, it goes back to radio. So that's pretty cool. Alright, I hope that helped you out. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'm gonna continue on with this radio. These are the cameras that I'm using for the Nismo. And this camera I'm going to install in the front. I'm going to install it a little bit differently. It's going to be to where it's always going to be on. I don't have to put the car in reverse. And so when I'm parking in front of stores where they have real high curbs, I'll be able to see the curb and stop before I smash my front end into the curb. That's one of the reasons I got this camera and radio, because it has a front and rear camera. So it'll also help you from hitting another car if they're parked in front. So it just adds a little more convenience. So let me show you how I'm going to wire this. This is the camera, power, video. This is the power. Plug it into the power. And on this side you have the ground, and I'm going to connect the black wire to ground, and the red wire is going to go to the accessory on the part for the radio harnesses. The radio harness has a accessory out, so when you turn on the ignition, it'll send power to this, and it'll turn on the camera so I can select front camera, and it'll just be on. this is the video. It's just a long video cable that you connect one end to the camera, and the other end goes to the back of the radio where it says front camera out, or at least on my radio it says front camera out. That's where this goes. So I'll be connecting also this wire is going to go to this wire, and this wire is going to go to the accessory wire on the back of the radio. So when the radio turns on, it'll send power down this harness down to this wire, and it's going to power the camera. So you don't have to tap into front power for your lights or anything like that. It's going to get the power from the radio, from the accessory. See this wire here? And that's it. Alright guys, if you're wanting to know which wire is the power wire for the reverse light, so you can hook up your reverse camera power, it's this one right here. It's this one. The white and black wire is the power wire to trigger your reverse camera to turn on. Alright, after you're connecting the positive wire to the positive red wire on the camera, you're going to want to run the line, the camera video line, through your trunk, and you want to find a spot to push it through to get it down underneath the car so you can do the rest of your connections. Now, I went ahead and put the camera here behind right above the license plate, and I can still access my button for to pop the trunk. So that's where the camera's gonna be. And now these are the wires. Alright, you gotta get the ground. So I did right there. There's the ground. Make sure you sand a little bit off from the coating, and then paint that so it doesn't rust. And then here is this is the wire that I just showed you that I pushed through the trunk. Now it's hanging down. This is the positive. That's the positive wire for the camera. And this is the positive trigger wire when you press on the brake pedal. I mean, when you put the car in reverse, this is gonna be hot. So you connect this hot wire to this video wire, and you connect this hot wire together, and this wire is leading over here. This is coming from the license plate camera. So this video camera plug is going to plug into this from the radio. And so now I'm going to hook up the power and then put all these wires away and then finish routing the wire up to the radio. Alright, got all the wires tucked away. There's the ground wire going up, and all the wires are up in there, pushed up. And they're coming out here. There. So I pulled it until they went up into the back of the car, up high. So now that's as far as they're gonna go. Now I'll just run this wire back to the front of the car, to the radio. Alright, I'm gonna run the video wire. I'm gonna run it through this hole here. It's gonna go in here. And this hole leads to inside the cabin where the big cubby hole is behind the passenger seat. I have that all taken apart already, so I might as well run it through there. Then it's gonna go through the center console. And here's the wire. And I'm gonna run it up through, there's a hole right here. Run it in through there. And then I'm gonna run it up through the center console all the way up to the radio. So let me get that done. Okay, I got the front camera temporary connected. Now I'm gonna check and see if it'll just be on to where I can just turn it on when I want to. Alright, let's go to camera. Go to setup. Turn that down. Camera. Secondary. Front. Go back. Camera. Front. And there it is. I have it just in my hand just for a test. So just like that, the way I showed you how to connect it, that's how you connect it to where the front camera is always on. You don't have to put the car in reverse. And now I'm going to route the front wires for the front camera and mount the front camera. I'm routing the front camera wires up through this hole here. It's kind of easy to access it. It's a little rubber grommet that runs behind the battery. I don't know if you could see that, but yeah, I'm gonna run that through there. Little tip is to put a lot of the dish soap on here so it can go through that rubber grommet kind of smooth. And here is the part where I'm pulling it out through. As you can see, it's in that little rubber piece right there. And I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little rubber. It's like a round, kind of roundish. You just slice a little hole through there and then pull it through. And then you could put some silicone around that so water doesn't get inside your cabin. Alright guys, I got the wire. Came through very easy. I'm trying to show you where it's coming from, but it's hard to see in film. But that's it. It's coming out through that little circle kind of thing. Anyway, so I'll be running this wire all the way around here, inside here, and then it's gonna connect here. Got the camera connected right there where I wanted it in the front, and now I'm just gonna route these wires and tidy up everything. Alright guys, the radio's done. I'm gonna show you a little bit of what it can do. It's got the Apple CarPlay. I've got it connected to my phone. Got the wire down here running inside to the cable. It comes with a cable, a USB cable, and I've got it routed to where you can't see that. So you could just control your songs through the Apple CarPlay. Just hit that. Go to music, playlist, recents. I can't really play anything because then the YouTube will get them. I can't really play anything because YouTube won't allow me to. So I'm gonna just play little quick snippets. See if they ban my channel for that. Let's see. So when you plug in your radio, you have access to your phone, music, maps, messages, and then this goes to your Alpine radio. Here's the front facing camera and the rear, but you have to put it in reverse. Radio.
Walked out by the water just to watch that river flow. Grabbed my guitar from the backseat.
Can't play that, get in trouble. Calendar.